You know, we live in this hyper-connected world where pretty much everything is online, right? From your smartwatch to these massive cloud servers that power our lives. But with this explosion of devices comes a huge challenge. How do you possibly keep an eye on all of it? How do you make sure the digital world we all depend on stays healthy and secure? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
To give you an idea of the sheer scale we're talking about, just look at this number, 50.1 billion. That was the projected number of internet-connected devices way back in 2020. I mean, think about that. This incredible growth in what we call the Internet of Things and cloud infrastructure means the complexity of managing it all is it's skyrocketing.
And that really brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? With literally billions of endpoints, servers, and devices all chattering away, how can network managers possibly watch over them all to spot a problem before it becomes a total catastrophe? It's a massive, massive job, and the way you decide to tackle it has some really big consequences.
So, at the heart of network monitoring, there are really two fundamental ways of thinking about it, a central conflict that every administrator has to deal with. Do you go with an agent-based approach, or do you go agentless? And trust me, the choice you make here changes everything, from cost and security to just how complicated your life is going to be.
Okay, let's break down these trade-offs. The agent-based way, where you install special software on every single machine, well, it's kind of tough to set up, but it gives you incredibly deep data, and it's generally more secure. On the flip side, the agentless approach is way, way easier to get going, but it can create more noise on your network, and the information you get isn't quite as detailed. It's that classic tech choice, right? Depth versus convenience.
Here's a really simple way to think about it. An agent-based system is like having a dedicated security guard standing inside every single room. They see everything up close and personal. An agentless system, that's more like a central security office just watching a bunch of cameras. It's efficient for sure, but you're always seeing things from a bit of a distance.
And here's the kicker. The problem is, whether you pick agents or go agentless, the traditional solutions out there are often these proprietary black boxes. They can be crazy expensive, especially as you grow, and they usually come with this super steep learning curve that's just a huge barrier for a lot of companies.
But what if there was another way? This is where things get really interesting. Our source for this, a research paper from Kean University, presents this really clever alternative, a lightweight, scalable, and genuinely simple plug-and-play solution. And they build it using tools you might already be familiar with.
Now, the secret sauce here isn't some brand new radical technology. Instead, it cleverly combines 4 trusted, open-source components. It uses something called SNMP to talk to all the devices, a tiny and super affordable Raspberry Pi to collect the data, the powerful Prometheus database to store it, and the beautiful Grafana dashboards to make it all make sense.
Okay, so here's a look at how it all fits together. You've got this thing called an SNMP poller running on that little Raspberry Pi. Its job is to go out and ask all the network devices how they're doing. That health data then flows over to a Prometheus server, which stores it all. And then finally, Grafana comes in, grabs that data, and turns it into these rich, visual dashboards that people can actually use.
You know, the real magic here, the key that makes this whole system agentless, is SNMP. Think of it like a universal language that most network devices already speak, right out of the box. By using SNMP, the system can pull in a ton of data without needing to install a single piece of extra software on the production servers. And that, right there, is a massive win for security and simplicity.
And what's really brilliant is how it scales. If you want to monitor a whole new office or another part of your network, you don't need some complex, expensive rollout. You literally just drop in another Raspberry Pi. Each one pulls its local network and sends the data back to that central database. It makes expanding your view incredibly easy.
So that's the architecture, the how of it all. But what does the person using it actually see? Well, the payoff for all this clever design is a powerful, clear, and immediate view of your network's health. Let's actually take a look at the dashboards this system can create. All right, check this out. Here, we're doing a deep dive on a single development server, and you get this incredibly rich, detailed view of everything that matters. How much RAM is being used, the CPU load over time, disk space, even how much traffic is going in and out. This really proves that a simple, agentless approach can still give you the nitty-gritty details you need for serious troubleshooting.
And now, let's zoom out. This is the big picture. It's a host-level dashboard that gives a network manager that crucial at-a-glance overview of many machines all at once. You can immediately see if one server's CPU is spiking or spot if one machine is running out of memory. It lets you see both the forest and the individual trees.
So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? The paper makes a really compelling argument that, when it comes to the crazy world of network monitoring, maybe the future isn't about more complexity. Maybe the future is simple.
So why does this matter so much? Because this approach just smashes through all the traditional barriers. It's incredibly cost-effective. We're talking a cheap Raspberry Pi and free software. There's no steep learning curve, it's secure because it's not installing junk on your servers, and like we saw, it's super scalable. This puts powerful network monitoring in the hands of the small and medium-sized businesses that so often get left behind.
The paper's conclusion just sums it all up perfectly. Plug-and-play monitoring without intrusion. That's the entire philosophy in 6 words. It's easy to set up and it respects the security of the network it's watching. It's just a really powerful and elegant way to think about it.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In a tech world that so often thinks complexity equals power, this whole project makes you step back and ask a different question. By just combining simple existing tools in a really clever way, is it possible that the smartest solution to our most complex problems is actually the simplest one?